Part 1: The Arrival. The invasion of Earth began without warning. One moment, humanity was at peace, or as close to peace as we had ever known. The next, the skies were filled with alien ships blotting out the stars, an endless fleet of impossibly massive vessels that seemed to stretch for miles. Governments scrambled to respond. Military units worldwide mobilized, though everyone knew the truth: this wasn't a fight we could win. The ships were too numerous, too advanced, and if they meant us harm, no amount of human ingenuity would be enough to stop them. Within hours, every form of communication was interrupted. News channels broadcast only static, internet connections failed, and power grids began shutting down. The world held its breath, waiting for the inevitable. When the first message came, it was everywhere at once: televisions, phones, radio waves, even billboards began to display alien symbols that quickly morphed into human language. We are the Valari. Surrender is inevitable. You will not resist. It was a simple, cold proclamation. The world's leaders scrambled to convene, but the chaos was complete. There was no clear enemy to target, no central command to negotiate with, just the overwhelming certainty that we were no longer the dominant species on our own planet. The Valari ships hovered above the major cities, blocking out the sun for days, doing nothing, just waiting. The silence, the sheer quiet of the world under occupation, was almost worse than an outright attack. Then, they made their first move. Without warning, they landed. They came down in shimmering waves, their technology incomprehensible to human eyes. The Valari were a terrifying sight to behold, towering beings with glistening skin like polished obsidian, their eyes glowing a dull red that seemed to bore into your soul. They moved with the precision of machines, each step calculated, each action coordinated in ways that defied understanding. The few attempts at resistance were crushed immediately, and their advanced weaponry made quick work of any human forces. There were no battles, no drawn-out wars, just swift, surgical annihilation of any who tried to fight. Humanity, outmatched in every conceivable way, had no choice but to bend the knee. But in the shadows, in the places where the Valari's gaze hadn't yet fallen, humanity began to plan. We wouldn't go quietly, not without a fight. Part 2: A Subtle Rebellion. Marcus Weaver wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a scientist or a leader. He was just a mechanic, a simple man who worked with his hands and made his living fixing cars. But when the Valari descended, taking away his family, his home, and everything he held dear, Marcus found something deep within himself he never knew existed: rage. In the early days of the occupation, Marcus joined a small group of survivors who refused to surrender. These weren't trained fighters, they were regular people, like him, trying to survive in a world that no longer belonged to them. They scavenged for food, found shelter in the ruins of cities, and shared whispers of hope when the Valari weren't watching. One night, while rummaging through the wreckage of an old warehouse, Marcus stumbled upon a strange device. It was clearly of Valari origin, sleek, pulsating with a faint blue light, and covered in markings that resembled no human language. Instinctively, Marcus knew it was important, but he had no idea how important. With no time to waste, he brought it back to their hidden camp. The device, as it turned out, wasn't just a piece of alien technology. It was a communication device, a way to listen in on the Valari's encrypted signals. But more importantly, it held a secret. It contained knowledge, information that would change everything. The Valari weren't invincible. They were a hive-mind species, their consciousness connected through an artificial neural network that spanned their entire fleet. Their strength was in their unity, their ability to think and act as one. But that same unity was also their weakness. If the network was disrupted, even momentarily, the Valari would fall into chaos. And this device, this alien artifact that Marcus had stumbled upon, was the key. Marcus and his group knew what they had to do. They couldn't face the Valari head-on, not with brute force. But if they could infiltrate their ships, if they could find a way to disable the neural network, even for a brief moment, they could turn the tide. Part 3: The Pushback. Armed with their newfound knowledge, the human resistance began a coordinated effort unlike anything the Valari had ever seen. They weren't fighters, but they were survivors, and that made them dangerous. They used their understanding of Earth's terrain, their adaptability, and their sheer willpower to evade the alien invaders. And all the while, they were building. Engineers repurposed alien tech scavenged from battlefields, scientists deciphered the complexities of the Valari neural network, and hackers worked tirelessly to crack the alien encryption. It was a monumental task, but bit by bit, they inched closer to their goal. Then came the day. Under the cover of night, a small strike team, led by Marcus, infiltrated a Valari command vessel hovering above what was once New York City. It was a suicide mission, and everyone knew it. The alien ship was a labyrinth of cold metal and strange energy fields, and the team moved with silent precision, knowing that one wrong step would mean instant death. The device Marcus had found was their guide. It pulsed and hummed, leading them deeper into the heart of the ship, toward the core of the Valari's neural network. As they approached the central chamber, alarms blared, and the Valari responded in force. The team fought bravely, but one by one, they fell, until only Marcus remained. With seconds to spare, Marcus reached the core. The glowing sphere of alien consciousness loomed before him, an impossible structure of light and energy. He activated the device, and for a brief moment, the entire ship shuddered. The Valari screamed. Their collective consciousness fragmented, and for the first time, they were individuals, separate, confused, and vulnerable. The unity that had made them so unstoppable was shattered. Across the globe, the alien fleet descended into chaos. Without their neural link, the Valari lost their coordination, their precision. Their ships faltered, their defenses crumbled, and humanity struck back with all the fury of a species fighting for survival. The tide had turned. Part 4, The Reckoning. In the days that followed, the resistance grew bolder. With the Valari hive mind broken, humanity began to reclaim what was theirs. The alien invaders, once thought to be invincible, were now disoriented and scattered. They were powerful, but without their network, they were no match for the relentless ingenuity of human fighters. Cities once occupied by the Valari were liberated. Alien strongholds were destroyed, and for the first time since the invasion, humanity had hope. But it wasn't enough to win the battles. Humanity needed to ensure the Valari would never return. The key to their victory lay in the remains of the neural network, deep within the ruined command vessels. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to reverse engineer the alien technology, and within weeks, they had developed a weapon, an EMP that could disrupt any Valari network within a 100-mile radius. The final strike came swiftly. Coordinated attacks across the globe crippled the remaining Valari forces, and the alien ships, once symbols of their dominance, fell from the sky like broken toys. The invasion was over. Humanity had won. Part 5, Aftermath. The cost of victory was high. Entire cities had been reduced to rubble, millions had perished, and the Earth itself was scarred by the war. But humanity had survived. They had faced an enemy far more advanced, far more powerful, and yet they had endured. The Valari had underestimated the resilience of humans, their adaptability, and their refusal to surrender. As the last of the alien ships were dismantled, Marcus stood on the outskirts of what was once New York, watching the sun rise over the ruins. He knew the world would never be the same again. But in the face of extinction, humanity had done the impossible. They had not only survived, they had thrived. And now, the universe knew. Humanity was